Hey, this is the final tab we're going to go over on the budget planning tool. It is the most fun tab. It's where all the visionaries get lost and start dreaming of how much money they're going to have in the future. The business future prosperity tool or future planning tool. This is a really cool tool. It's very involved, very complex, especially if you've never gone through this before. There's a lot more to the equation than just saying, ooh, I want to sell my business for a 3x multiplier at $5 million. So there's a lot that goes into it, and this tool kind of breaks all that down. Like I said, it's a little bit more intense. You might have to watch this video a couple times. It will be the longest of all of the videos just because I want to be as thorough as I can by touching on all the main points and allowing you to explore the nuance of each one of these after we get through it. Essentially, let me tell you what it is. It takes your sales goal. And in this Sandbox account, we got that sales goal of $750,000. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just assign a growth rate year over year for the next 10 years. I like to honestly do this at 5 years. So I would even hide this because it gets a little bit crazy to do it at 10. It just takes a long time. So it's up to you. So I'm really just going to be focusing on 5. Let's say 30%, 25, 20, 15. There we go. So let's just grow at whatever percentage that we want. And then we've got 2 important line items here. It's going to be your cost of goods sold and your general operating expenses. What really we're looking at is line 19, and that's how much your net profit's going to be, or your net operating income. So what do you expect your profit to be each one of these years? I've just done this as a blanket 20% profit, but just look at your cost of goods sold, and if you're not sure about this one, then just make this whatever you want it to be. So if I want it to be 15, I would just do 45% right here, and you see all the math just kind of works out. So if I want to target a 15% net profit, I would do that as long as you know your cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold stays pretty consistent unless you just change the mix of services or the type of service that you're doing. Your cost of goods sold for your industry and your service mix is going to be relatively the same because you should be raising your price based on the demands of your service. All right. So you pick whatever you want your net profit to be. I would suggest never ever budgeting for less than 15% net profit, because as I have in a whole series of videos, margin and risk are the inverse of each other. And so if you're running a really low margin business, your risk is high because there's not any room for error. There's no margin for error. So anything that happens wrong in a job where you're budgeting 5-7%, you're losing all your money like that. And there's a lot of risk, a lot of liability to not be making very much money. So we want to start at 15%. I would encourage 20, but some industries have a really hard time getting to 20. So start at 15 or 20 or whatever your gut kind of tells you. Now we're going to get into the part that's not discussed nearly as often, but is incredibly important. I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to take a second, even pause the video after I ask it, see if you know the answer to this. There's 3 things that you can do with the profits of your business. What are the 3 things that you can do with the profit of your business? You can pause it, or if you know it. All right. So the 3 things you can do: you can pay yourself through distribution. You can pay down debt, EIDL loan or credit cards or property, whatever it could be, or you can reinvest into the business. And so that would be buying new assets, buying new trucks, buying land, or whatever it would be, just an asset that is owned by the organization. And so when we have our net profit from our business, in this particular example, our net profit, which is right here, $112, $146, eventually $446,000. This is where we're going to take a percentage of that, pay ourselves, pay down debt, and reinvest. And so what this section here does, it says how much are we going to pay ourselves, how much are we going to pay down debt, and how much are we going to reinvest. Then we take our income and we're going to put in our tax rate, whatever that tax rate is. Remember, we're in a progressive tax rate, so this is not going to be an exact science because I'm not going to expect anybody to say, well, I'm paying 13% for the first 90,000 and 18% for the next 100,000. Just put whatever you think you're close in the tax rate is. Like every other tab I've said, you're not landing on the moon. Same thing with this. You just want to kind of get close. And then this would be how much your business will be worth at the end of that point in time. So let's go through this real quick, and I kind of want to explain the distributions, debt services, and business reinvestment. So if I'm going to be making this year in profit by this account here, $112,000 in profit, 10% of that is $11,250. So I'm going to be paying myself $11,250 this year. Now, interest on my investments. So if you were investing in S&P or whatever, year over year return historically is 8%. If you want to be conservative, make it 6. It doesn't matter to me. I don't really care. That's going to just tell you basically how much that's going to be accumulating over time. So when you pay yourself this percentage year over year, it's actually accumulating if you're holding it into some sort of account that is you're having your money work for you. So that's a pretty cool way to look at it. I'm going to pause the video real quick just because I'm curious to see like how much you contribute versus how much you accumulate. All right, I just wanted to see what this was. So if you look at the formulas, I mean, this is just taking in the sum of all these numbers here, but without the interest, just a modest 10% of your profits each year goes into distributions that you're reinvesting into an S&P at a 6% return is going to pay over $80,000 just in interest. So that's pretty cool to see that happen. But that's the importance of kind of making your money work for you. Next, debt services. I'd put in your current debt. If you EIDL loan plus vehicle payments, land, property, whatever it is that you own, the sum of all of that right here. And then how much of our profit do we want to put into paying down our debt? Now, what you notice in this example here is we actually end up paying off our debt. I think we stopped paying it off, 10%, 10%. We still, let's say 10, 10, 10. But if I were to start with $100,000 in debt, I actually would pay that off at a certain point in time. So that's pretty cool to see how you can amortize or pay off your debt in a very strategic way based on how much of your income are you using toward debt. So that's pretty cool. Talk to your financial advisor about how much you should be paying off, because good debt, bad debt, high interest rate, low interest rate, like you want to have a really good plan with your CPA on how you want to target this, or your financial planner on how you're targeting this, so that you are doing it strategically. If you have a 0% loan, it doesn't really make any sense to pay it off, because you could invest in S&P and get a 6% return back. So a lot of ways that you could really think about debt. If you're just a person that's completely averse to it, then just pay it off, man. Like it's up to you. It's your business. You can kind of do whatever you want. And then how much are we reinvesting into our business? And you can see those numbers here: assets, vehicles, whatever it is that you use for your business here. So then you look at your income tax rate. We have a progressive tax rate in the United States, so it's going to be difficult to get this exact, not landing on the moon. So just want to kind of get as close as we are here. And then that would be able to have how much you're going to be paying in taxes, just get close enough. And then finally, then it has what's left over. After all that's done, how much residual income are you going to have left? So now you have your multiplier. So this is basically just taking your net ordinary income, so this amount right here, your profit, and then multiplying it by a number. And so you can put in whatever multiple you want to see how much your business is going to be worth. There's a million factors that will go into your industry and the multiplier for your industry. So it's impossible for me to say what that multiplier would be. I would suggest reach out to some influencers, some people that are knowledgeable about mergers and acquisitions in your space to find out what a target EBITDA or multiplier would be for your exit. But this allows you to see the income of your business and how it can be spent over the coming years, so that you can be strategic about how you're investing in your money. So I love this tab. It's a great way to be laser focused on how much you're investing, paying for yourself, buying assets, acquiring new equipment, and it's just a really, really cool tool. So if you have any questions about this, let me know, but have fun with it, because this tool will get you focused on the future and where you want to be in a period of time. Thank you so much, and enjoy the sheet. Feel free to contact us anytime if you have any questions about it. And I'm really, really excited you get to share in this tool that I've spent years and years and years working on. Thank you so much.